One evening, I left my home in New York around 10 p.m. I realized that I had forgotten my wallet at work. My home and work were a 7 to 8 minute walk away, and it was a men's barber shop. I walked for 5 minutes or so. I was approaching my shop, and I met my mystery customer who came to my shop 2 days ago to get a haircut. He asked me how I was doing. I said, "I'm fine. How are you?" After I said I was fine, he asked me, "What time do you close the shop?" I said, 9 a.m., 9 p.m. "Yes, your shop was closed," he said. "Can you open it for me?" He said, "Cut the ends of my light hair and fix it." He offered me $150. I accepted. $150 for 10 or 15 minutes of work was very good. We arrived in front of the shop. It was 10:20 p.m. I turned on the lights, locked the door, and lowered the automatic curtains from the remote control so that no other customers would come. She left her handbag on the seat next to her, got ready, and sat down. I was very curious who this man was, what he did, and who his family was. I said, "Can I have your name?" Mike said, "You?" I said, "Paul." "How old are you?" "Mike." Mike said, 37? I said, "My age is 29. I asked him what he did for a living. He just looked in the mirror and smiled slightly. He said that he is engaged in many businesses, that he has a company that manufactures yachts, that he has a company that rents airplanes, that he has precious metals in 11 parts of the world. I was surprised. I said, "Why are you shaving me?" I said you could go to more luxurious places. "I'm a person who likes traveling, meeting new people, exploring," Paul said. "2 days ago I recognized you and I came today. Your shop was closed, but we met on the way and you opened your barber shop for me, and now you are doing business and we are chatting. Isn't that nice? There are a few company officials who follow my business on my behalf, and I am enjoying myself. Paul, I'm going to invite you to a party." "Will you come?" said Mike. I started to wonder why he invited me to the party. "Sure, but I said when and where. I think you should devote 4 days to this party." I said it must be far away, and he said yes. "Paul, don't worry about anything. As far as I can see, you have 4 more barber chairs, which means there are 2 to 3 workers. They will take care of it," he said. "You are the boss of this barber shop. Let the employees take care of you. 4 or 5 days of partying and vacation will do you good," he said. He put me in a good vacation mode. He said, "Don't think about anything. It's all at my expense. 2 days later, I will send a car to pick you up at 12 noon, okay?" I said okay, and we exchanged phone numbers, and the haircut was finished, and he got up and got ready. He said $150. He gave exactly $1,500. He said, "See you in 2 days." He said he left. When I looked outside, a very luxurious car was waiting for him. He had a driver and a bodyguard. He got in and left. I was wondering if he told me about himself, but if everything was as he said. And I was so excited at the same time. My phone rang. It was another number. I picked up the phone. It was Mike. "How are you, Paul?" he said. "Our trip is tomorrow, not 2 days later." He said, "One of my planes is an empty VIP plane tomorrow." He said I would like to host you on that plane. I was hypnotized. I said, "Okay," with a slight fear in me. I said, "Okay. Tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., a car will come to your shop and be ready to pick you up." I informed the people working with me. It was 12 o'clock at night, and I went home and went to sleep. I woke up at 7 a.m., got ready, and started walking to my shop. I couldn't help thinking that because I was involved in sports, my body was fit and slightly muscular. I wondered if the man could be a pervert. I was tired of thinking about bad things, so I decided not to think about them and let things go. It was 8:45 in the morning. The vehicle I was waiting for arrived. Opened the door. I sat on the back seat. We set off. I asked the driver where Mike was waiting for you, sir. He said, "We will be at the airport in 30 minutes. A guard was sitting next to me. The guard handed me his phone. It was Mike. "Brother, is everything okay? Tell the security guard what you need. Sea shorts, clothes, whatever you can think of. We are going to a very elite place, no offense." Then the security guard was on the phone, and we went to a very fashionable store in New York, and they bought everything from sea shorts to tuxedos. All I can think of is, why? We got back in the car. We were out of New York. We were heading north, and I realized the roads were deserted. I realized we were going to a private airport. I was confused. I was going down a road that I didn't know the end of because my life was going to change for the better. After leaving the city, we drove through the forest for almost 30 or 40 minutes and came to a place like a small runway. The plane was there. There was a single-story office belonging to the runway. We entered there. Mike was there. There were 10, 11 people inside, some with automatic weapons. We chatted with Mike for a while. He handed us whiskey and we drank a few glasses. He had 4 other guests like me. By the way, Mike mentioned that we're going to an island in the ocean 6 hours away. We boarded the plane and the capacity of the plane was 20 seats. 5 armed men boarded the plane with us and they didn't speak. And Mike takes turns sitting next to everyone and chatting. And Mike called the guards and told them to collect the phones from my guests and not to disturb them by calling them on the phone. Mike told us not to use the phone on vacation. And the guards collected the phones. I'm collecting the phones for security purposes. "I'm sorry," Mike said. "There was someone sitting in the back who didn't want to give me his phone. They took your phone by force. I was surprised because they took it by bullying. If you want to call a friend or family member, tell Jack, the security guard, and he'll put you on a satellite phone." I was going crazy thinking about where I was going and what was going to happen. We didn't know which direction and which country the plane was going to. When we asked, the half-drunk Mike laughed and said, "Off the coast of Spain, maybe off the coast of Colombia or Brazil." "Just have fun," Mike said. "I'll tell you about a place, but I'm sorry, I won't tell you exactly." He said it's an island with very special parties. Everyone put on their masks before getting off the plane. This is a private and secret party. Even governments sometimes forget that this island is here, he said and laughed. Mike said you can only take the masks off in your room. Even on the balcony of your room, he said to wear it when you go out. And we got off the plane, and there were armed men everywhere, and we were walking, and nobody was talking. There was music coming from up ahead. We were going up the stairs, and when we went up, we could see people having fun downstairs, but they didn't let us down there. There were 6 to 7 very luxurious villas on 3 floors, and there was a beach right next to it. Between us and people was the distance of a soccer field. They were having a foam party and the DJ was performing, but that area was separate from the area we were walking through, and armed men were guarding it, and they took us to a 1-story place that looked like a center for armed men. I looked around, and I didn't see Mike. I asked the security guard where Mike was, and he said he was on his way. We 8 of us were very worried. Everyone was asking each other questions. And Mike came. I said to Mike, "Mike, when are we going to go to those people having fun in the distance?" He said, "We'll go there in an hour or 2. He said, "We'll stop here for a while." He said, "They will take everyone one by one to the room at the end of the corridor for registration." He said, "Everyone should find a nickname and say it there." They called one person, and that person entered the room. 3 minutes passed, and the armed man at the door pointed at me and said, "Come." I went into the room. There was a mirrored window. I think it was an interrogation room. There was someone behind the mirror. I couldn't see them. They could see me. They asked a few personal questions, and I answered them. I was flying slowly. I think they were giving a different gas to the room, but I didn't realize it at that moment. I was just living that moment. I looked in the mirror and I said, "I feel so good. I feel so good. I'm so good. The guys behind the mirror were talking to me through the microphone, and they said, "Enjoy your vacation," but this voice sounded familiar to me. But I guess I didn't care because of the gas. Yes, now they told me to go to the room next door. So I did. It was also a mirrored room. There were 3 doors in total with the door I entered, and there were numbers written on the doors as 1, 2, 3. He made me sign a 30-page paper called Travel Insurance, and the man came in through door number 2. Door number 3 opened, and they said automatically, "Go to this room." This room was also mirrored, and there were 5 doors in total. Door number 4 opened, and I went in, and there were 2 doors in total. I had already entered through one of them, and I didn't know what was behind this door. I felt like I was coming to my senses. I turned my head, and there on the table was the tuxedo they bought me in New York, and there was a note on the table saying, "Wear the tuxedo." And I put on the tuxedo. They called out to me over the loudspeakers, and I recognized the voice because I was a bit sober. That was Mike. I opened the door, and he said, "Get out." And I was talking without showing that I was sober. I was giving answers like, "Come on, open the door, and let me go for a walk." And he was laughing. He opened the door, and it was going out. But how? I was shocked when the door opened. It was going to some kind of prison. I yelled, "Mike." No minister. There was a corridor with iron bars, and when the door opened, that's what I saw. I looked up, and there was no sky, just rocks, and this was a prison built at the bottom of the hill we were climbing. We were officially underground. Everything was automatic. The door at the end of the corridor opened, and there were 60 cells inside. There were 3 female prisoners inside. There was also a man who entered the room before me. I went into the cell next to him. His door was open. I called out to the guy in the next cell. I said, "What's going on here? Where's Mike?" I said, "Why are they doing this to us?" The women called out from the cells on the opposite side. "You'll find out soon." I said, "Please, tell me." He was laughing, but they were laughing horribly. He said, "Have you seen the hotels at the bottom of the island?" "Yeah." I said, "What happened?" "The world's richest people come to this secret island for fun and stress relief. He said they can do anything they want to you, and no one will find you here." And the other people on our plane started coming one by one, and they went into their cells one by one. After everyone arrived, 1 or 2 hours later, Mike came. He laughed and said, "Welcome to the holiday." He said, "Enjoy the holiday," he said again. At that moment, you got angry, I shouted. "Mike, leave us quickly." I said, "What do you think you're doing? I thought we were going on vacation." I believed you. He said, "You are on vacation. You are not at work. If you are not working, you are on vacation, Mike." I tried to convince you, but it didn't work. And the woman who gave me the information was not a prisoner. But Mike went to her and informed the other prisoners that you will entertain the people vacationing on this island. He said that sometimes you will be a target. Maybe you will wrestle with a shark. You will be whatever people want you to be. From now on, your life is limited to this island. And Mike said, "Of course, that's if you can survive." And then he left too. By the way, they can watch you on cameras on this island, so we'll be organizing prize fights. If you want food, you'll have to fight in the ring, he said. They brought food inside and placed it on a high table in the courtyard where the cell doors faced. But our doors were locked. Then they released 2 pit bulls into the courtyard. My door was the first to be unlocked, and I heard Mike's voice over the microphone. "If you want, you can open your door and get enough food for yourself within a minute," he said. "After 1 minute, your door will lock, and it will be the next person's turn. If you step out, Your door will lock after 2 minutes, he added. I opened the door with 30 seconds left, and the dogs lunged at me. The table was 4 meters away, so I climbed onto it. It was a large table with exactly 10 food packages on it. There were 8 of us and 2 female prisoners, enough for everyone. But I took 4 for myself and threw 1 in front of the cell of the man in the distance. I said, "That's my gift to you. Call the dogs over there so I can run back to my cell." He said, "Throw 1 more then." So I threw a few more packages. The man opened the second package I threw and tossed a small piece of food even further away. When the dogs ran over there, I dashed back to my cell. There were 3 or 4 food packages left on the table. Everyone was furious with me, shouting, "Why didn't you throw 1 for each of us?" I didn't respond to them. What was going through my mind was the fear that maybe food would only come every 2 or 3 days, so I wanted to stock up. The second door was opened, and the other prisoner took the remaining 3 meals and went back to his cell. But the dog had bitten him. He was injured, but he managed to escape from the dog. I should sleep now. There are bunk beds for 2 in each cell, but since our number is low, everyone is in separate cells. I wish I had someone I could trust beside me. Maybe we could make a plan or just talk. I'm experiencing my loneliness deep inside. I told everyone that I would be gone for 4 or 5 days, that I was going on vacation. No one would call me, and even if they did, how would they find me here? I fell asleep thinking about that. I think it's morning now. Someone is looking in from above and then leaving. People who haven't eaten since last night are shouting, "We want food!" But I still have 2 more hamburgers. Some people want food from me, but I say no. I say I've eaten them. I lied, saying I threw them into the cell next door at 3 or 4 in the morning. The cells across from me are 18-20 meters away. When I ate, I would lie on my bed and cover myself with my sheet to hide the view. Then, the door opened from above, and someone else looked in. I didn't recognize them. It was the first time I saw them. They seemed like an authority figure. I shouted, "Where's Mike?" They said, "He's having fun down by the hotels." Then everyone's cell was open, and we were all taken outside. It was hot, obviously in a more temperate climate, somewhere near the equator. They tied our hands and loaded us into the back of a truck. We couldn't see outside. After a 4 or 5 minute drive, the truck stopped, and the door opened. They left us in an area about the size of half a football field, surrounded by walls. There were maze-like areas. I wondered what they were going to do to us here. Above us, there were glass-covered observation areas, and people were watching us from there. Mike went upstairs and addressed us all with a microphone. "The competition will start in 5 minutes. You have to save your life. The losers will die," he said. "Maybe there won't be any winners," he added. I shouted, "Mike, why are you doing this to us?" He turned off the microphone, came closer to us, and said, "The people watching you paid billions of dollars for this event, and you will entertain them." The competition's name was Escape from the Maze. We approached the maze, which was made of barbed wire. Mike called out from the microphone, "Get ready." The maze's door opened, and 10 of us entered. The door to the maze closed behind us. Mike said, "There are many exits in the maze. Find the right exit doors." The maze was so big that it was visible, with every side leading into the area surrounded by walls. The doors were there, but no one knew what would happen or what kind of death awaited if the wrong door was opened. We made a plan among ourselves. When approaching a door, only one person would get close to it and open it. We continued forward. After 10 minutes, we found a door with food in front of it, enough for everyone. Everyone ate, and then we started flipping a coin to decide who would open the door. In the end, it was just the woman and me left in the final round. I flipped the coin, and the woman lost. She had to open the door. The other side of the door wasn't visible, and they started playing music, so that we wouldn't understand what was behind the door. She opened it and took a step in. "It seems like there's nothing here," she said. She tried to step back and close the door, but it wouldn't close. We shouted at her to continue, and I started to approach. I just poked my head through and saw an open area. I pulled back and asked the others if we should scout it out with a few people. "Maybe it's the right door," I said. Music kept playing from above, making it hard to hear each other. We reached the door and signaled if there were any problems. The woman knocked over a barrel next to the tree, and the door suddenly closed. We were left in the maze. The woman, realizing the door had closed, ran towards it in shock and fear. Suddenly, a door on the side opened. Oh my God! It was a lion. The woman ran towards the tree, trying to hide, but someone watching from above started throwing stones at her. The lion noticed the woman, immediately ran towards her, grabbed her with its mouth, and pulled her aside. Everything happened in front of everyone's eyes. The spectators were sadistic. They enjoyed it. We turned back from there, and everyone's psychology was completely shattered. I said, "Maybe if 2 or 3 people go through the next door, we might be able to face whatever comes our way." We moved forward and found another door. We no longer flipped a coin. "I'm opening it," I said. I opened the door and saw what looked like a trench on the other side. I wanted to send 3 people there, but I convinced only 2 to go. The door wasn't closing again. The 2 people advanced and reached the trench. They said there was nothing. They walked around a bit, then suddenly an explosion. A landmine. One of them had stepped on it. I realized then that this door led to a minefield. I tried to save the man because I needed him, and I had to use these people for the other doors. Just as he was getting close, he also blew up. The door still wouldn't close. I didn't understand what the system wanted. Another sacrifice? No, I couldn't afford that. I still needed them. There were many more doors ahead. We were retreating back into the maze when the door closed by itself. This time, I felt relieved. We approached another door, and I looked up. Mike was up there, this time on the wall, trying to make eye contact with me. I had someone else open the door. Again, nothing was visible inside, just a few sacks in the middle and 2 boxes on the side. I was thinking to myself, they're going to kill all of us somehow. There's no way out of here. After opening the door, everyone was sitting around, thinking about who should go in. Mike and I made eye contact, and he nodded at me to go in, making a gun gesture with his hand. Was he trying to tell me there was a weapon inside? I said, "I'm going in, guys." I walked in slowly and reached the sacks. In one of them, I found a key, and in the box, I found a knife. When I checked the other box, there was a gun inside, fully loaded, with a spare magazine. I quickly tucked the gun into my belt. Everyone was looking at me strangely from the maze, as if they were disappointed that I hadn't died. Mike was cautiously watching from above because I had a gun. The spectators, of course, were watching us from the comfort of their bulletproof glass enclosure, following us wherever we went. It was infuriating. I wondered if they would shoot me from above when I left or set off a mine. I didn't know what they would do. Maybe they'd force me to kill the others. I had no idea. Slowly, I started walking back toward the maze. With about 10 meters left, I put my hand on the gun. Now, it was my turn to speak. It always was, but now I'd make sure they listened. I entered the maze and said, "Let's move!" To my luck, this area turned out to be a supply collection area, and I laughed. 3 or 4 minutes later, we reached another door. There was always this sneaky guy who hung back like me. I told him, "Open the door, quickly." He was a bit surprised, but went and opened it. They knew I was armed. He looked through the door and saw grass and a pool-like pit filled with water. There was another box. I hoped there wasn't another weapon inside. On the other side, I saw a crocodile. The sneaky guy started moving forward. I checked the door. It could be closed if I wanted to, but I didn't. Suddenly, something jumped out from the bushes, a booby trap. The man couldn't walk anymore and fell to the ground, trying to drag himself. Something like a rope pulled him toward a tree. The man was on his back, his legs in the air, waiting for the crocodile. The crocodile grabbed him and dragged him into the water. We had no choice but to turn back. We continued forward. There were 6 of us left. We came to a new door, and I had someone open it. Then, just as quickly, I pushed the man inside. He said to me, "You go in too." I looked into his eyes, and he said, "Go on." So I went inside. Then, Mike answered his phone, and someone said something to him. Mike looked at us and said, "Everyone, go inside." They all entered. There were also armed soldiers above. Mike told me, "Stand in front of them." So I did. The spectators wrote a number on a piece of paper. Whoever guessed closest to that number would survive. A piece of paper came down from above, written on pink paper, 400, along with a note that said, "With love from Emma." "Choose 2 people," Mike said, "and ask them." I immediately selected and asked them to guess a number between 0 and 1,000. One said 250, and the other said 750. I turned over the paper, which was the size of an A4 sheet, and it said 400. The man who guessed 750 was terrified. Mike said, "Execute him." So, I did as he said. I applied the same number game to the others. In the end, I was left with 2 people in front of me. Mike said, "Let them slap each other. That's what the spectators want." They started slapping each other hard. "The one who passes out and falls loses," Mike said. After 5 minutes, it was clear they were about to lose consciousness. One of them fell. I called out to Mike, "My lord, what do you want me to do?" Mike said, "Well done, Paul. You're learning how to survive." He said, "Shoot the one who passed out." I did as he instructed. I then had the other man walk in front of me, and we entered the maze. We came to another door, and I had him open it. It led to a closed room. I pushed him inside, and suddenly acid started spraying from the walls. I quickly pulled my head back into the maze. The man had died a terrible death. Now, I was alone. I moved forward, and Mike called out to me, "Drop your weapon, man," he said, and move forward. I dropped the gun and the knife on the ground and continued. If I didn't do what he said, worse things could happen. They could knock me out with a dart from a distance, or the men with automatic weapons could shoot me. Anything could happen. He had me exit at the beginning of the maze and said, "Be smart and wait for my orders. From now on, you will live comfortably. You will have simple tasks." Then, they loaded me into the back of a truck. It was closed, and suddenly, gas. Were they going to kill me? And Paul passed out. Paul slowly wakes up. It can't be a dream. My head hurts. I need to get up and drink some water. Oh my God. What's that? There's a mask on the table, the kind we wear on airplanes, and the tuxedo they made me wear, and a note on the table. My heart started racing. Who brought me home? How long was I unconscious? The note reads, "Paul, how was your vacation? Is everything all right? What you've experienced will remain a secret. On the back of this paper are the home addresses of your entire family. I think you understand what this means. They've left a suitcase under your bed. It's yours now. From now on, you will work for me in this organization. You will only take care of the people I select. The suitcase contains $150,000. Don't even think about going to the police and telling them anything. If you do, I'll bring your family to this island and organize a competition for them. By the way, the videos of the people you killed during the competition, captured at the moment you shot them, are in the money-filled suitcase on a USB drive. Watch them and think carefully. Even if you go to the police, you won't be able to prove anything. The cell phone number I gave you doesn't belong to anyone. From now on, wait for my orders and climb the career ladder in my organization. Best regards, Mike.